na, baby.
Hello mga kapitids, I am Kristen and I will be your speaker for today's episode of the Muay series. This episode is about the muscles connecting the scapula to the humerus. These muscles are the deltoid, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor and major muscles, and the subscapularis muscle. Disclaimer, the pictures and illustrations used in this video are from the Netter's Atlas of Human Anatomy. Before we proceed to the muayna, we will be first discussing the different bony landmarks in the clavicle and in the scapula that serve as point of origin and insertion of the muscles of the scapula to the humerus. The clavicle is an S-shaped structure because of the anterior convexity of the medial two-third and the anterior concavity of the lateral one-third. The lateral third of the clavicle serves as one of the origins of the deltoid muscle. In the scapula, we will be discussing 6 bony landmarks: the acromion, spine, 3 fossae, and the lateral border of the scapula. The acromion and the spine of the scapula are continuing with one another and serve as the remaining origins of the deltoid muscle. The supraspinous, infraspinous, and subscapular fossa are the 3 prominent fossae of the scapula. They also serve as the origins of 3 muscles, which correspond with the name of these structures. Supraspinous fossa is located above the spine of the scapula, and this is where the supraspinatus muscle originates. The infraspinous fossa is located below the spine of the scapula, and this is where the infraspinatus muscle originates. The subscapular fossa is located at the anterior surface of the scapula, and this is where the subscapularis muscle originates. The lateral border of the scapula is a rim-like structure located near the axilla, and this is also known as the axillary border. This is where the teres muscles originate. The teres major is originating from the lower third, and the teres minor is originating from the upper two-thirds. The bony landmarks in the humerus serve as the insertion sites of these muscles. The greater and lesser tuberosities in the humerus are the roughened areas separated by the bicipital groove. Greater tuberosity is situated laterally and the common insertion of the teres minor, infraspinatus, and supraspinatus muscles along with the capsule of the shoulder joint. Lesser tuberosity is situated medially and inferiorly from the greater tuberosity, and it is the insertion site of the subscapularis muscle. The supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis muscle, or SITS, are the rotator cuff muscles that stabilize the shoulder joint. The bicipital groove of the humerus, specifically the medial lip, is the insertion of the teres major muscle. The deltoid muscle has 3 fibers: the anterior, middle, and posterior. These fibers have actions corresponding to its position. The middle of the lateral surface of the shaft of the humerus, or the deltoid tuberosity, is where the deltoid muscle inserts. We have already discussed the origin and insertion of these muscles. Now we'll proceed on tackling about the nerve supply and action of these muscles. We will be discussing 4 nerves that innervate this compartment: the axillary, suprascapular, and the upper and lower subscapular nerves. The axillary nerve innervates the deltoid and teres minor muscles. The suprascapular nerve innervates the infraspinatus and supraspinatus muscle. This The subscapular nerve supplies the subscapularis and the teres major muscles. But the difference is the subscapularis is supplied by the both upper and lower subscapular nerves, while the teres major is supplied by only the lower subscapular nerve. Because of the insertion, the actions of this muscle occur in the humerus. The rotator cuff muscle and teres major stabilize the shoulder joint. The lateral rotators of the arm are the infraspinatus, teres minor, and the posterior fiber of the deltoid, while the medial rotators of the arm are the subscapularis, teres major, and the anterior fiber of the deltoid. The teres major also performs arm adduction, while the deltoid and supraspinatus participate in arm abduction. The anterior fiber of the deltoid also performs arm flexion, while the posterior fiber participates in arm extension.
Yeah.
First tip is to always remember the rotator cuff muscles with the abbreviation of SITS or SITS, which means supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. The second tip is to analyze the insertion. The insertion of the SITS is either under greater or lesser tuberosities. The teres major and deltoid do not insert to these two tuberosities, which will help you rule out the rotator cuff muscles. The third tip is to analyze the name and its origin. The subscapularis muscle, because of the root word subscapular, means it originates from the subscapular fossa. The supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscles, because of the root word supraspin and infraspin, indicates its origin to the supraspinous and infraspinous fossa respectively. The fourth and last tip is that the teres major has similar actions with latissimus dorsi because of the similarities of its direction of fibers and insertion to the bicipital groove. We have reached the end of the video, and I hope that you can use this knowledge about the muscles connecting the scapula to the humerus in your studies. Like and share this video, and don't forget to support our partners. And that's all. Thank you!
Yeah, it's Moana, baby.